Hello and welcome to Coaching Overwatch. I'm Coach Sexy, and today's topic is developing your philosophy. In a coaching role, you'll have to make countless decisions over the course of your career, and having an overarching philosophy can really help guide you through those decisions. It can keep you consistent, keep you true to your character, and really navigate you through those difficult times and difficult decisions. It's basically your compass. Now, how do you develop your philosophy? Let's look at some practical steps. Number 1, self-examination. You need to spend time considering what values you hold. Ultimately, the philosophy needs to come from you and the way you govern your own life. If you attempt to adopt someone else's philosophies, they will feel extremely foreign to you and will actually slow down your ability to make good decisions and take action. Your philosophy represents you, not the other way around. Number 2, world examination. Look to the world for insight on philosophical ideas. Talk to family, friends, and even strangers. Find books or online resources to really discover more about approaches to all the different aspects of life. Look for pieces of information and language that accurately reflect yourself. And don't be afraid to look in places where you don't think you'll find answers. Oftentimes, what we need to learn most is where we least want to look for it. You may find that ideas you thought conflicted with your own ideas actually don't conflict at all. Number 3, ask questions. Create a list of questions that can be answered concretely or abstractly. Like, how would I resolve two players yelling at each other? What if I caught a player cheating? How would I handle a player who is both underperforming and practicing more than 12 hours a day every day? How would I approach players after losing to a quote-unquote bad team? These questions are missing context, but as you fill hypothetical contexts in your mind, you'll start finding your answers. And maybe some of these questions are framed in a way that already bothers you on some level. Follow that feeling and see where it leads you. I guarantee something's there. Number 4, evolve. Once you find your philosophies, do not be afraid to experiment. Just keep examining yourself and keep examining everything around you. Your philosophies will and should grow over time. You aren't committed to any one idea or even any one version of an idea. So this means that eventually you will have to negotiate with yourself about what ideas hold more value over others and then start reforming your philosophies again. And ultimately, this will be your guide, the shining light that guides you through the dark, so to speak. It's not your prison. It should excite you and fire you up and make you think of all the possibilities. If it's not exciting, then you probably haven't worked on it enough. So just keep at it and just be patient. It will take time. So what does a philosophy look like? Well, everyone likes different approaches. Some like a mission statement with one sentence or a few sentences that describe it. Others like the idea of pillars to show the values they deem most important. And there's nothing wrong with having both or looking at other ways to describe your philosophy. So let's look at some sample sentences. Okay, feel free to pause the video if you want to thoroughly read any of these, otherwise we'll continue. So the goal here is really just to give insight about how that team will be governed. And after you've given some thought about your own values, you can then come up with your own sentences from scratch. Or you can take some of these and heavily modify them. And then from there, you can just mix and match however you see fit. And it's okay to have just one or several. It's really up to you. And notice how some of these stress growth, some stress innovation, some stress pride, some are more team-oriented, some are more individual-oriented, some take time into account. There's lots of subtleties here, and they can have a massive impact on your decision-making, and they should. Okay, let's look at some sample pillars. So out of this list, let's say we picked unity, simplicity, and performance. Now, for this combination, unity probably means you value the team over individuals. Simplicity might mean you highly value finding the simplest solutions to problems both in and out of game. Performance probably shows you want your players to practice strategies and heroes until they're at their best before moving on to new strategies and heroes. Now let's contrast this to a very different selection of responsibility, innovation, and preparation. Here, responsibility probably means you will have a hands-off coaching style that empowers your players by making them accountable for their own actions and growth. You're really looking to challenge your players to pick up a heavy load and really contribute to the team on their own terms. Innovation maybe means you value the slower process of developing and practicing new strategies and new compositions over mastering perfect execution of well-known strategies and compositions. Preparation maybe indicates that you highly value analyzing enemy strategies, weaknesses, and habits, and then preparing tweaks and new strategies to counter them. Now you might be thinking, well, I want to do all the things, but that's just not really possible. You have finite resources and time in any league, in any tournament, and you'll quickly notice that some ideas just oppose each other quite a bit. By attempting to adopt every idea and style, you'll just spread yourself thin and your team too thin for that matter, and just do everything poorly. This is why you have a value system to prioritize what you believe to be most important. So maybe instead of pillars, you can think of it as like a hierarchy where you pick the most important values and you put them straight at the top above all the other values. And no combination of values is correct. It entirely depends on you and what you bring to the table. And to repeat, a philosophy does not imprison you. It totally empowers you. If you occasionally make some decisions which do not completely align with your philosophies, that's actually a good thing. All right, TLDR, examine yourself, examine the world, ask questions and answer your approach to them, evolve your philosophies over time. Remember that your philosophies can be sentences or words that represent the values that you deem most important. And lastly, philosophies should not change on whims. They need to endure through hard circumstances. In fact, they should be a guiding force through those tough times instead of something you cast aside when things get hard. All right, I'll link a transcription of this video below. Until next time.